Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching audio of the day, and it's about 2 o'clock in the morning East Coast time. I'm up early. I couldn't sleep, actually. I've noticed that a lot of times my clients are in need in the middle of the night, especially since this COVID virus has been out. So if you're one of the night owls going through the challenges, join us here in the Progress Tribe each and every night if you'd like to. Or you can join us during the day, whatever works for you. Please like, subscribe, share this on your social media. Hopefully get up to 1,000 subscribers pretty quickly. That would be wonderful. We got up to 100 today. We're 10% of the way there. I'm good with 10%. Today we're going to talk about faith versus fear. What pathway do we walk during uncertain times? You know, it's so interesting because there's two groups of people I'm dealing with right now. There are the groups of people who are believing by faith that we're going to get through this virus thing, that the planet's going to come out better, that the humanity is going to come out better, that somehow everything that's happening is working together for the best possible outcome, and that unfortunately some people are going to pass away along the way, and that's unfortunate, and we weep with sorrow for those souls that pass away. But at the same time, we go on and we say, you know what, the best way to honor the people that have died is to live our best lives. And then there are the people that say, no, this is going to be the end of the world. This is going to be horrible. This is going to be the beginning of the end. We've got news media talking to us every day about how many people die all over the world. It's almost as if they think that hope itself has died. I wanted to do an audio today on faith versus fear and which of these you embrace during uncertain times. You know, it's really interesting. I want to read a quote by Mitchell Hollis here. It says, faith and fear cannot coexist. One will push the other out. Which one wins is up to you. So let's look at that for a second. Faith and fear cannot coexist. In other words, you can't have those two emotions at the same time. It's impossible. You may have them back to back. You may have them overlapping some, like I'm afraid, but then in my brain, in my mind, in my heart comes the faith that everything will come out okay. And then it says one will push the other out. So that means there's a battle going on there, doesn't it? There's a battle for which way you're going to choose to live your life. Will you live your life in fear, or will you live your life in faith? Which one wins is up to you. Isn't that powerful? That we can choose the pathway and the lens through which we view life. I want to give you a physical exercise. I think many of us need physical exercise during this time as a distraction to reset our bodies, to reset our autonomic system, to reset that lethargy that may be in us that causes us to slow down and overthink and underperform and all those challenges. So I want you to imagine, I want you to take your front foot, that is your strong foot, the strong side of your body, and I want you to, if you're standing, put it forward. If you're sitting down, that's okay. Just put it in front of the other. Just take your foot and put it forward. Now, the other side of your body is your weak foot, your weak side. We all have them. Even those of us who like to think we're untouchable have weak sides. Take that weak side and step backwards with it. So put it behind your front foot, right? I want you to imagine trying to walk that way. I would contend that spiritually and emotionally and from a place of mental health, the majority of our world in the 195 to 97 countries, depending on who you believe, that the majority of our world is in that place of walking as though faith and fear are attempting to coexist but cannot. You know, and so often we hear things like, I don't want to start over, but I might have to. I can't do this. I can't lose my job. I can't take care of my kids. I can't handle all this pressure. I can't see any more of the news. I can't take one more day in my house. Have you said these things? I know I have. Forgive me if my microphone's a little wookie. My personal assistant and I are working on getting better sound equipment. I walked out of a nursing home at the end of January with $200 to my name, which meant that the equipment I had was less than stellar. But, that's okay. Even in that, I can bring faith and fear into it. I can say, well, I'm afraid that nobody will want to listen to me on a craptastic microphone, right? Or I can say I have faith that those who understand that the message is coming from a heart intending to help will forgive the technical difficulties. What I choose to view it, how I choose to view it, will directly determine the success rate that I have, won't it? Or at least influence it anyway. It's interesting. We're on Easter weekend, and for those that are uncomfortable with Christianity, please stick your fingers in your ears for the next 10 seconds or so. But the phrase, do not be afraid, is written in the Bible 365 times. So once a day, if we read the Bible every day, conceivably once a day, we're told that there's a difference between faith and fear. Now, it manifests in different ways. Faith says I got to take care of myself, my body, my mind, my spirit, because there's going to be a brighter tomorrow. Fear says I'm stuck against the wall and screwed to the wall and there's no point. Fear says I'm going to lose my job. Faith says, but I'm not going to lose my skills. Fear says I'm going to be ready to be at the end of the rope with my wife, with my husband. Fear says we're going to be at the end of the rope. Faith says we can rebuild the bridges. Fear says I'm worried about my kids and their education. Faith says I can teach my children what they need to know during this time of uncertainty. Faith says I'm going to learn and grow through this experience. Fear says this experience is killing me. So which one are you living in and why? To use another scripture, Isaiah 4:35, do not be afraid, I am with you. Now, for religious folks, they're talking about God. But for those of us who are just looking for a sake of community and a sense of community, do not be afraid, I am with you. Your neighbor is with you. Your loved ones are with you. Even if they're not physically in the same room, in the same space, in the same place, they're with you. They're with you in the unity to want to see recovery for our nation and for our world. We're not that far apart. We're not that far apart. But so often we think we are, right? When you turn on the news and what do they talk about? They talk about how, everybody needs to stay inside. And I'm not diminishing that. I'm not saying we should all go run around naked in the middle of the street singing Kumbaya. But at the same time, do we believe that there's recovery? Or do we believe that there's no remorse and only regret during this time? Do we believe that people are getting better? Or that there's only the option to get worse? I apologize, I'm a little hoarse here. Allergies are having fun with me the past few days. And here's an interesting thing. Can you go forward and backwards in your car at the same time? I want you to imagine that. So jam that gear into drive and then slide it back into park or slide it back into reverse and see if your car doesn't go a different direction. Now, if your mind is that car, when we step in faith, we go forward. When we step in fear, we go backward. So what's happening in your life today can directly influence how you end up tomorrow, because if you're living in fear constantly, you're going to go backwards. You're going to lose track of what's important. You're going to be ill at ease with your children, with your spouse. You're going to forget to do your homework if you're in college. You're going to phone it in to your boss if you have one, or you're going to believe that your boss is one phone call away from laying you off. If you have faith, though, you can say, even if I lose everything, I can still recover. I'll use myself as an example because, well, I'm the one I know best. We have had this. When I went into nursing care in October of 2018, the end of October, there were those in that facility who said I would not survive. They looked at me and they said, welcome to the place where you will take your final rest. And now, all these months later, there are those same people that said that those things. They deny saying them. They said it was never said. And I swear to you on my grandmother's grave that they will I gain nothing by making that up. I gain nothing by, focusing on that negative. And at the time, it was the worst thing that I could have heard, right? Worst thing I could have heard, that there was no hope. There was only the fear that my body was too far gone, right? And I laid there with a body that didn't want to move. It seemed like for weeks. And all I could feel was the pain. Pain of the loss of the things I hadn't done, the fear of what I'd never accomplished, the hope that somehow somebody would lift me out of it, but yet nobody came. There's a graphic I'm looking at as I record this. There's a lion, and the lion has his teeth bared, and the little graphic says, "Meowing time is over. It's time to roar." And during my journey of recovery, about 6 months in or so, my roar returned. And it returned because I wasn't ready to quit on serving my life's purpose. Question: are you ready to quit? Because your actions now determine what you're telling the universe, what you're telling the world around you, what you're telling your friends, what you're telling your family. Is this a time for rejuvenation and rebirth? Or is this a time for rejection and regret? Only you can determine it. I'm not saying don't watch the news, but at the same time, if the news is only bad, why would you put only junk food into your body? Would you put only junk talk into your mind? It's interesting because there's a line that says, the truth is that faith and fear cannot coexist. If you claim to have faith and you're still fearful in your life, then clearly, no matter how much you pray, no matter how much you focus, you don't have the faith you thought you did. There's always a way out of any circumstance. There's always a dawn after a darkness. There's always a new job after a loss of one. There's always a new relationship after a breakup. There's always another day to be had. And if, just if, today was your final day, do you want to say, I lived it with the faith that I could change things still, even as I drew my final breath, from the fear that I'd never done enough? Because if your belief is you haven't done enough, you'll line up with focal points that prove yourself right. Now, I'm not saying don't be afraid. Fear has a wonderful place in the history of humanity. I mean, we'd be pretty stupid if we saw a bear running at us and we weren't a little bit afraid. Fear is an opportunity to change things. Fear is an opportunity to get your house in order, both figuratively and literally. Fear is a chance to look at the false evidence that appears real and choose whether we embrace it or reject it. I'm afraid too, but of different things. I'm afraid of the mental health effects on people who are struggling right now, that they're not getting the assistance they need from the proper outlets, and that they're scared, and that they're shaking in corners, and we, as conscious, co-creating human beings, aren't doing enough for our fellow humans. I'm afraid that as we reset our economy, there will be a group of people that don't know how to recover, don't know how to get back to who they were before this pandemic. But you know what? I have faith. It's not in my hands. It's in all of our hands. And we must join together and exist for the belief that better things are coming, better days are ahead, better light will shine, and we will grow together. Where we grow together, we go together. And maybe, just maybe, this viral earthquake, this viral tremor that has gripped humanity by its very throat is calling us to stand up, step out in faith and say, we're stronger than any sickness. I can honestly say I'm afraid for the families who are having to bury their loved ones, that they're not getting the proper grief counseling that's necessary. And if you're out there and you know somebody who's struggling in that way, please send them to this channel. I want to be of service to them if I can, free of charge. I would like to be able to give them some degree of hope and encouragement during this very dark time. And not just me. I would hope that every life coach, every minister, every counselor, every therapist, every psychologist, every psychiatrist would take part of your practice, just a part, maybe an hour a day, maybe 2 hours a day, whatever you can afford. Although, if we're still alive, can't we really afford a lot more than we think? Because we have the freedom of choice to decide whether we invest in the things of the old world, money, greed, power, lust, or the things of the new world. You know, it's interesting. There's a progressive commercial that said, "This is our new normal." It was just debuted a couple of days ago. It said, "This is our new normal," and they want to help us in our new normal. I would call us to action and say our new normal should be faith, that even through this, there will be people who prosper. Even through this, there will be people who get miracles and new clarity of what they need to do with their lives. Even through this, there will be families that come back together. Even through this, there will be amazing reports of just supernatural things happening. Even through this, there's recovery. No matter what you believe God to be, or even if you don't believe in one, there is something you believe in that's greater than yourself. And if you believe that you are the greatest thing on the planet, well then, you got to rise to your best, because the world needs you now. And that's the thing. The world needs all of us to show up. You know, forward motion creates change. We've never seen the world grow and develop into new technology, new ways of thinking, new ways of believing, new items, new services. We've never seen that while people run backwards. Step forwards. Step forwards, knowing that the ground may be uncertain, but your balance is not. That you may fall, but it's not how many times you fall, but how many times you get back up, because as Les Brown once said, if you can look up, you can get up. And no, it's not going to be easy. There will be days when you don't want to get up. I still have them. You still have them. But at least we're alive to have them. Faith or fear, it is your choice. And where you focus, so shall you end up. This is an invitation to take back control of your respective life, no matter where you are in the world. You are worthy of success. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of living the faith that burns inside you and loving in ways you never have before. This is Scott Golden. I'm reminding you, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.